My name is Nishaant Sangaavi. I am the CEO and co-founder of EnergyX. We're a SaaS enterprise platform that's licensed to utilities like Enbridge, and we help homes and businesses save energy and save money. Now, it's interesting that I'm here, and it's interesting that we're talking about sales, because that's something I feel extremely passionate about. I've been selling for a while. I am, at the end of the day, an enterprise sales executive who just happens to be a CEO and a co-founder. And what that means is I am always selling. I'm the happiest when I sell. I love selling. My investors love the fact that I sell. My potential investors love the fact that I sell. And my co-founder, Alex, who's here and who has to build everything I sell, is always on edge. In fact, I think that's why he's here, to make sure that I don't sell anything I'm not supposed to sell. So why is that important, right? Let me start by first seeing which one of you here are are founders or entrepreneurs. If you could just raise your hands. Awesome. And how many of you here work for a startup? Okay. So I was at an investor meeting a few weeks ago, and there was a question that was posed of me that I ask you today. How do you know when an entrepreneur is dead? And for the sake of time, I'll just go ahead and answer that. It is when an entrepreneur stops selling and stops pitching. So just think about that. The meetings that I have found that have not had any success are the ones where I don't talk about who we are, what we do, why we do what we do, and how we do what we do. Now keep in mind, I'm not talking about the product. I'm talking about the story. I'm talking about the vision. I'm talking about what drives and motivates and inspires us, because that's what's going to drive and motivate the clients we end up selling to. Entrepreneurs are always selling, right? You're selling to your clients, you're selling to your prospects, you're selling to your co-workers, you're selling to investors, you're selling to potential investors. Heck, I have to sell to my wife and kids to allow me to do what I do because of this dream and vision that I hope one day will actually mean something and result in something. But where I'm going with this is it's a very important part of your job. It's a very important part of your role. What I want to share with you today is 3 key things that I have learned and that I adhere to when I go ahead and do what I do. It's also what's allowed us to close more than $1 million in booked revenue over the last 18 months. It's allowed us to get to 55,000 monthly recurring revenue that's growing every day. So, I hope you can take something from it regardless of the role, position, and what you do. First and foremost, it's as simple as it sounds, always show up, right? 80% of the work is just in showing up. As simple as that sounds, though, a lot of us don't do that. There's always a product cycle that has to be done. There's always a feature of functionality that has to be made. Your product's never 100%. Well, guess what? It's never, ever going to be 100%. When we started EnergyX, we had our first deal within 3 months. We sold not on a prototype, not on a product. We sold on wireframes. And we showed up to every possible sales meeting we had so that we could sell it. Create pain with your customers. Your product is key. It's an awesome product. I'll never deny that your product isn't what it's supposed to be. But that's not what your clients are going to buy. They're going to buy when they're in pain. Create pain for them. And once you've created pain, you're still not done. Create that sense of urgency to buy. Listen, we sell to utilities. I mean, utilities have no sense of urgency. Absolutely none. So I can show up to a meeting, I can sell my vision and get them excited, I can keep them in a lot of pain, but if I can't get them to buy now, then it doesn't allow me to grow as a company. So create that sense of urgency. I'll leave you with a story, and it's by Richard Branson. It's about Richard Branson, and I truly believe he's one of the greatest salesmen and marketeers of our time. But this was many years ago. He was in an airport with his wife, I guess his girlfriend at that time, flying to Puerto Rico. And it just so happened that all the flights to Puerto Rico that night were canceled. And so there was a whole number of passengers who were sitting at the airport stranded overnight. Now, Richard Branson showed up, so did everyone else. And there were 2 things he realized. He realized there were a lot of people in pain because they wanted to fly, and they all had a sense of urgency because they did not want to stay at the airport and they wanted to leave. So what does Richard do? He looks around, He realizes a business opportunity. He didn't have a product, right? So he made a few calls, he chartered a plane, and then he sold every passenger there a ticket to get on that plane for that night, and he made some money doing it. And that ended up actually got him to start his own airline. And so it goes back to the three philosophies: show up, create pain, create that sense of urgency. Right? At EnergyX, we're very much a startup. We'll continue to stay a startup because we want to grow, we want to be lean. We're not a brand. People don't know us. But we still go out, we sell, we pitch, we close our vision, we sell our value proposition, and we never stop selling. So I hope you can take that as a lesson. Thank you.
Questions?
Thank you for the talk. I'm just wondering how you create urgency when there is really none.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a question I ask myself every day, right? I think the first thing is to understand what keeps your clients up at night. That's the first thing I want to know, right? I'm notorious for getting clients to say no to me, because people will waste your time. They'll have multiple number of meetings, especially if you're doing and I love investors, but investors are notorious for trying to get as much information from you as possible for making a decision. Some clients do. So get them to say no. That's the first thing you want to do. The first meeting, you want to walk out with a no. If you don't walk out with a no, now you've got a connection. Now you know you've got something. Understand what keeps them up at night. Get that sense of pain. Once you've got that sense of pain, then you've got to start thinking about what your key drivers and motivations are for that customer to sign. And it's usually something. It's either budget, it's either price, it's either that their competitors are keeping up with something that they don't have. So once you've understood that pain, and once you've understood what keeps them up at night, then try to create that urgency around it. But get them to say no first. Because if they don't, now you've got something.